The call came just as I stepped into my apartment, tired and drained from another long day that no one in my family would ever acknowledge. When I saw my mother's name flash across the screen, I froze for a moment. Her calls were rare, too rare, and always carried the same heavy feeling, like a reminder that I was still the unwanted piece of a puzzle that never included me. I answered slowly, "Hello." Her voice hit me with the familiar coldness I grew up swallowing. "We're having a family dinner tonight," she said flatly. "Your stepbrother and sister will be here. We decided to invite you." Decided, as if my presence needed a vote. Before I could respond, she added the sentence she knew would land like a knife. "But don't stay long. We're only inviting you out of pity. Understood?" There it was, the sting she never forgot to deliver. I closed my eyes for a second, letting the words settle. This wasn't new. I had been the outsider from the moment she remarried. Farhan, her stepson, was the pride of the household. Hania, her stepdaughter, was the golden child. I was the leftover, the child she felt obligated to bring along, like a bag she didn't want but had to carry. "Understood," I said quietly. "I'll come." She didn't say goodbye, she just hung up. For a while I stood in silence, staring at my reflection in the dark window. The boy I used to be, the one who cried after these calls, the one who begged for her approval, was gone. Replaced slowly, painfully, with someone who learned to stand without support, without affection, without applause. Tonight, though, wasn't about revenge. It wasn't even about proving anything. It was about seeing, with my own eyes, the people who once shaped every insecurity I carried. The ones who made me believe average was my only destiny. As I changed clothes, memories came like ghosts. Farhan stealing my first project idea at 17, presenting it to investors as if it had come from his own brilliant mind. My mother praising him, telling everyone at the dinner table how naturally gifted he was, then laughing when I confronted her, saying I was being dramatic. Or the time Hania told her friends that I wasn't really family, just an addition they had to tolerate. Or my mother telling a visiting aunt that I wasn't as smart as the other two, but he tries. Those lines lived in me for years, carving quiet scars. But now they would meet the version of me they never imagined existed. I grabbed my keys, took a deep breath, and whispered to myself, "You invited me out of pity, let's see how long that pity lasts tonight." The house looked exactly the same, large, bright, and painfully familiar, the kind of place people admired from the outside but never knew the bitterness stored inside its walls. As I rang the bell, I could already hear laughter coming from the dining room. My family always laughed the loudest when I wasn't around. The door opened. My mother stood there, scanning me the same way a teacher examines a late student. "You could have dressed better," she said instead of greeting me. I offered a small smile. "Good evening to you too." Farhan appeared behind her, arms spread wide like he owned the world. "There he is, our long-lost guest," he said loudly, making sure everyone could hear his fake enthusiasm. His hug was more of a pat on the shoulder, cold, quick, meaningless. Hania approached next, whispering to her husband, though she wanted me to hear. "He looks exactly the same. Maybe some people don't change." I pretended I didn't notice, but each word felt like an old bruise being pressed again. The dining table was beautifully decorated with silver cutlery and fresh flowers. I took my usual seat, the one at the edge farthest from the center. It was funny how even chairs had assigned hierarchies in this house. As soon as I sat down, the interrogation began. "So, Adil," my mother asked, pouring herself water, "are you still doing that small job of yours?" I nodded. "Something like that." She sighed, disappointed as always. Farhan leaned back smugly. "Well, while you're figuring things out, we've been expanding the company. Investors love us." He emphasized us as if teamwork had built his success, when I knew exactly which stolen idea had started it all. He continued talking, bragging about new offices, big deals, how his vision was taking the company ahead. Every sentence felt like a reminder of what he took from me years ago. I listened quietly, not correcting him, not revealing a single truth. Let him enjoy the last few hours of believing he was a king. Hania chimed in, tapping her nails on her glass. "You should really learn from Farhan, you know. Ambition suits some people." I smiled gently. Maybe. In reality, I had spent years rebuilding myself from scratch quietly, carefully, without any of them knowing. My successes didn't need their applause. I had outgrown the desire for it. Throughout dinner, I watched them. Their confidence, their pride, their careless cruelty. They were so used to winning that they never bothered to wonder if someone else could rise. Tonight, revenge wasn't a plan. It was simply the truth waiting for its moment, and that moment was getting very close. Dessert was served, kheer in delicate glass bowls, sprinkled with pistachios. It was always my mother's favorite part of any gathering. Sweet food seemed to sweeten her mood, but tonight, nothing seemed to soften her sharp glances toward me. I could feel her eyes studying me, waiting for something, maybe a mistake, maybe a sign of weakness she could poke at. But I wasn't the one trembling tonight. We ate in uncomfortable silence until my phone vibrated. A simple buzz, but loud enough in the quiet room to make everyone look up. "Is it work?" Hania asked with a smirk. "Or is your boss reminding you to come early tomorrow?" Before I could respond, Farhan's phone buzzed too. He frowned, glancing at me, then at his screen. Strange. "This is from legal." He opened the message. His expression changed instantly. The smugness fell away. His face went pale, so pale I thought he might drop the phone. My mother noticed immediately. "What's wrong?" Farhan didn't answer. His hands trembled slightly as he scrolled through the details. Seconds later, his chair scraped loudly as he stood up, staring at me like I'd just appeared out of thin air. "You," he said quietly. I raised an eyebrow. "Me?" He swallowed, eyes wide with disbelief. "You bought the shares, all of them, every available one. You're the majority shareholder." The room froze. Hania blinked. "What? No, that can't be right. He doesn't have that kind of money." I placed my spoon down gently. "People invest in talent," I said, "especially when they realize the original idea wasn't yours." The silence that followed was deeper than anything I'd ever heard in that house. My mother's voice finally broke through, weak and confused. "Adult, how did you?" I leaned back in my chair, calm and steady. "Years ago, after you all dismissed me, some investors approached me. They saw the potential in something I created, something that was taken from me. I rebuilt myself quietly, and when the opportunity came, I bought what should have been mine long ago." Farhan shook his head in disbelief. "So, you're my boss now." "I prefer the term owner," I replied softly. The truth was simple. He didn't lose his company to me. He lost it years ago when he underestimated the person he stole from. My mother reached forward, voice trembling. "Adil, why didn't you tell me?" A sad smile touched my lips. "You never wanted to hear anything from me unless it made you proud, and I stopped needing your pride long ago." For once, their silence wasn't about ignoring me. It was about finally seeing me. And the truth was louder than any revenge I could have spoken. The silence after the reveal hung heavy in the room, thicker than the air, heavier than all the years of humiliation I had swallowed. For the first time in my life, every eye in the room was on me, not with mockery, not with dismissal, but with something unfamiliar, fear. Farhan slowly sank back into his chair, as if the truth had drained all the strength from his body. Hania looked between us, her mouth opening and closing like she was struggling to breathe, and my mother, she was frozen. I had imagined this moment before, not out of vengeance, but out of the desperate wish to be seen once in my life. Not as a burden, not as the outsider, just as myself. But now that the moment was here, I didn't feel triumph. I felt peace. I pushed my chair back and stood up slowly. "Thank you for dinner," I said softly. "I should leave now." My mother snapped out of her shock. She stood so quickly her chair nearly tipped. "Adil, wait," she said, her voice trembling. You don't have to go." Her tone was desperate, shaky. A tone I had never heard directed at me. I looked at her, and I saw something new in her eyes. Regret. The kind that comes too late. "You told me not to stay long." I reminded her gently. "That was before." She stopped, struggling for words. "I didn't know." I gave her a small smile. "You never asked." She took a step toward me. "I was hard on you because I wanted you to be better." "No," I said quietly but firmly. "You were hard on me because you never believed I could be better." The truth shattered whatever excuse she was about to make. Farhan stood up awkwardly. "Look, maybe we can talk tomorrow, work something out, work something out. Like partners, like equals. The irony almost made me laugh. I don't think that will be necessary, I said. The company will continue, but things will change. He swallowed hard. Hania crossed her arms, but her voice wasn't sharp anymore, just small. So what do you want, revenge? I shook my head, no. Revenge would mean I still want something from you. I don't. Their expressions fell, because that truth cut deeper than any insult. I headed toward the door. My mother followed, her steps uncertain. Adil, she whispered, can we start over? I paused with my hand on the door. Maybe, I said softly, but not today. Because today was the first day I chose myself. I stepped outside. The night air touched my face cool, quiet, freeing. Behind me, the house that once felt like a cage stood silent, stunned, powerless. I walked down the path with a steady heart. My revenge wasn't in destroying them. My revenge was in outgrowing them. And for the first time in my life, that was enough.